All right, with that, I make a motion to approve the resolution as well.
I have a motion made by the mayor to approve tab C as is. Do I have a second to that motion?
Mr. Mayor, before we move forward, can you explain again, can you explain the constituent exactly what we are voting on now?
And
Explain it again.
wanna-
You're actually just opening the door that Councilman Galvin just mentioned. This will commence the process just to get the team together to bring to you and the public projects which are going to be financed either by general obligation bonds or revenue bonds, or perhaps a combination of both.
Without committing to anything.
We're not committing to anything.
Exactly.
Everything has to be approved by you
Without spending any money.
before it even goes to the public, before we spend one nickel. Yes, sir.
Okay, just for a team to start working and
It's
when ID and
To
when
allow the city
project.
manager
and
to start
explain
gathering the forces to make this, to commence to make this a reality for the
That
city,
committee that you are about to put together,
the team.
the
team.
team that you are about to put together.
Yes, sir.
Are they gonna have workshop with residents?
Yes, and we will work with the council to develop all of that stuff. If you go out and we've seen some examples, right now, we're not even at the point where we can even talk about a bond, because we need to do what you just said. We need to go out and poll the community, figure out what projects they want. But I need the team, I need the financial advisor to help me run numbers and put those assumptions together, to run the different scenarios, to see what's going on in the bond market. We need bond counsel to advise us. Some of the things staff put together that list of projects. Inherently, there's some things on there that we may not be able to finance via the capital, but we need to figure out, well, if they want a new park with a restaurant in the bottom, how do we finance that? So definitely, it's an engaging process, and I assure you again, no money will be spent until we actually have a transaction, we consummate and close the transaction.
So a simple way to put this is like a family who's contemplating buying a property or a house. So they start looking around certain neighborhoods. Meanwhile, they make sure that they get their beacon score. They consult with some lenders,
realtor.
realtors,
A
and
realtor.
so forth, without spending any money. They're just looking around. And then when the time comes for them to make a decision, husband and wife have to sit down and listen to each other. Right?
So I have a motion made by the mayor to approve tab C as is. Do I have a second?
Second?
That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Item passes with a 4-1 vote.
Mr. City Manager, please don't include any bond issues for District 4 in the.
Please don't. Please don't.
I would
And,
never
uh,
do that. I would never
No,
do
tease.
that.
in fact, I did
Tease.
tell you to take out Chinatown.
No,
Don't do that.
but
Don't.
but you understand, Mr. City Manager, we're not gonna be able to pass a bond if we're not on
One-
board. All the district. That's mean if there is a problem, we
And
gotta
that-
find out what the
Correct.
problem is. And I said yes. The only reason I say yes is not say yes to increase taxes on people. It's just say yes to open the conversation.
Correct.
That's the only. That's what I'm doing now.
Just so, publicly I'm clear, it's not that I'm against the bond, but again, what we just did is against everything we said we wouldn't do. How could you vote to say that you want it to be transparent, the public to be involved, but yet we are forming a committee after the committee is formed, and then we go back and ask the public, oh, this is what we are doing. So again, Mr. Manager, my opposition to it is, and I stated clearly before that, I don't have any problem with the bond, but I do understand, and we have to keep in mind, we have residents here, and I know you've been getting some calls, who cannot afford their water bill. So I am concerned about anything that adding to their level of stress that's not improving the quality of their lives. So the idea is, if we want to do this, let me find out from them. My homeowners, my other folks, this is a good idea. Do you want this? Is this gonna help you? Then I won't have any problem, because I don't want to sit here and make decision and then go back and ask them to vote for. When you and I, we had several conversations. These people are calling my office all the time. They simply cannot even afford their water bill. They're getting ready to lose their houses. So there are some serious issues we need to address, I think, before we could move forward. Thank you, sir.
Any question from, oh, okay, finish.
If you,
By the time we get through this, I think we're probably gonna have 5 or 6 town hall meetings in all the districts of the city, and at which time all the residents, and we made it very clear tonight. I opened the floor for the public to be heard, and they decided not to speak tonight. But they will have the opportunity. Well, yeah, this is the first time they're hearing from it, and subsequent times will be at the town hall meetings. Town hall meetings are made for that, where citizens, express themselves, about their concerns and so forth. The fact is, cities renovate, just like you paint your home every now and then, you change the roofs and so forth. And this is an old city. We just have to give it. And again, the residents are at the front seats in this. Even after we vote, they have to ratify our votes. So our votes don't really mean diddly. The residents, the taxpayers, are the ones who are going to decide whether this goes or not.
Mr. City to the mayor, city manager, you are going to answer Vice Mayor's question before.
I wanted to publicly acknowledge that, yes, I've had several conversations with the Vice Mayor, and your concerns they did not fall on deaf ears. I heard them, and we'll work together to make sure it happens. The statement that I made in the strategy session that unfortunately you weren't able to make it was, if we were gonna go forward, I needed to have all 5 in support. So we will do the work with all 5 of you, with the constituents, to make that happen.
And let the record reflect that Vice Mayor does not want the Chinatown project to be part of this.
Absolutely.
Mr. Manager, when we had our conversation, then I asked you to please remove that from there.
That was an oversight on my part.
I had asked him
Okay.
to remove that way before that.
I have a
Just-
question.
just, please.
Vice
let's
Mayor
make sure.
Desulme said something early, and we're about to select a committee. We're not selecting a committee.
No,
There
No,
is
is
no
it
committee.
expert that gonna tell us
Several.
how it's work, where the money is coming from?
right?
Yeah, several experts. Yeah,
No, expert, no, not a
not a committee.
a committee from the community, from the citizen.
Experts.
Okay, I wanna make sure.
The citizens.
It's not, okay. Because when the constituent gonna ask me question about it, I won't be able to answer it. That's what we are doing.
Okay.
Put the team together. I'm gonna ask them question, and then you're gonna be able
All right,
to ask
Mr. Clerk,
question.
next
If you're
time.
okay with it, I'm okay with it. You're not okay with it, I'm not okay with it.
Tab F, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a 3rd amendment to professional services agreement between the city of North Miami and Black and Veatch Corporation to provide the city with an operations management review of the city's water and wastewater utility system with alternative models of operations by issuance of a purchase order in the amount not to exceed $84,000 for a term of 90 days pursuant to the attached proposal, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Mr. Mayor, or through the mayor,
Go ahead.
this item is regarding my staff and myself being able to have a good understanding of what we have in our water utility distribution center. System, excuse me. As you know, I know some of our components are in disrepair. We want to get a good sense of what the investment will be, not only just the water plant, but also from end to end. There's an item later where we're going to insource some activities. So I want to be able to position myself and the city to be in a position to know what our system is worth, what does it cost to operate it, what kind of investment will be needed, and these consultants will provide me with the study that I need in order to reach that goal. So I'm asking that you support this resolution.
And do we have a presentation?
That was no presentation.
Okay.
That's in order for you,
Go ahead.
in order for you to make an assessment of what do you have in the water and sewer system.
Correct.
This item is now open to the public. If you, anyone who wishes to make a comment or ask some questions, please do it now, or forever hold your peace. I see no one coming, so public hearing is now closed. We have the opportunity now, members of the dais.
Yes, Mr.
speak.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
This is a good night. Nobody's coming up for public forum. Mr. Manager, in terms, what is the purpose of the study?
So they will, Black and Veatch will look at the state of, the status of all of our assets. So the water plant, the physical infrastructure, they'll look at the software we're using for utility billing, the processes, and kind of give me an evaluation from end to end. They may say, you know, well, we already kind of know this. You need to invest $100 million over the next 5 years to make sure that we maintain the quality of this service. We're looking at annexation, so we're looking at expanding our system as well. Do you need more capacity, or do we need to leverage off the capacity that's still there? Help us assess all of that based on what exists today.
And 84,000 is the final amount?
To be honest with you, they normally do these assessments in the range of 150 to 200,000. So Black and Veatch, as you know, is the company that does the city's rate 5-year rate study. Because of that relationship, they were willing to give us quite a bit of a break on the price.
And it's okay to do it without a bid or anything?
I was gonna ask.
This is a piggyback.
This is actually a third, we have an existing agreement with this company. This will be the third amendment.
Okay, so no bid is needed.
No, it was originally a piggyback from Miami-Dade County. As the city manager just pointed out, this company specializes in doing this for municipalities and counties.
Mhm. Okay. Nothing? We need a motion? Comment or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Was that a second, Councilwoman Keys? Because Mayor Smith Joseph made the motion.
Okay, second.
Okay, so I have a motion
Oh,
made
you
by.
made it for me, because I said we need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Mayor Joseph, do you motion to approve tab F?
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, and that motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. This is in fact a resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Item passes with a 4-1 vote. Tab G. 4-1. Proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, providing for a reasonable period of time for the city to respond to public records requests pursuant to Florida Public Records Law under Section 119-07, Florida Statutes 2015, further authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to implement and effectuate the provisions of this resolution, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab G.
Mayor and Council, this is the item that was heard before this body a few weeks ago, and Councilman Galvin had indicated that perhaps we should bring it back with the related administrative regulation, and that is what you have before you. This item was sponsored by Vice Mayor Desselman, and it's now before you for full consideration with the requested document.
Okay, now the item is open to the public. If you wish to be heard, please come to the mic right now and make your statement or question. I see no one coming, so public hearing is closed on the item. Members of the council.
Mr. Mayor, through you
Right.
to the city attorney, how does this clarify or cement our commitment to providing public documents in a very fast, timely manner?
In fact, that very same issue came up today. And what it does do is it gives the requester an avenue to bring up an issue to the city, like, for example, where are my public records? I submitted a request a week ago. Where are they? So what it does is it provides an avenue for that requester to seek an answer from the administration. How does the requester do that? By submitting a request for cause to the city manager, copying the city attorney. And that would be found in subparagraph 9 of the administrative regulation, which is language that's added to the pre-existing old administrative regulation. It also legalizes the responsibility of the city. The city is not entitled to ascertain or arbitrarily pick 2 days or 5 days, or the city is required to submit by law public records within a reasonable period of time, and that reasonable period of time is only measured by, one, how long it takes for the city to obtain those records, and redact from those records any information that is exempted by law. And that's it, no more, no less. So it's a, yeah,
I come from a time not long ago when this city purposefully avoided providing public records, period. We stalled, we punted, we were magicians with a sleight of hand. We were purposely not giving out documents. How does this keep that from happening again?
it gives the requester an avenue to question their request and to question it at the highest levels. And that it would be through the city manager and the city attorney. As the city attorney, I'm obligated to find cause as to why these records are taking so long to be produced. Perhaps there's a good reason. Perhaps the records were already made available, as the case at hand today, which were made available and they were only pending payment by the requestor, which is, you know, the requester's fault for not coming forward and making the payment pursuant to state law. We're entitled to 15 cents per copy, for example. As it is, we give away the first 15 copies gratis at no charge.
I guess I'm perhaps willing to vote in favor of this tonight with great hesitation, because if the administration reverts back to the point where they are purposefully not providing documentation, and then the resident is being asked to appeal to the same administration for explanation as to why their documents aren't forthcoming, we're creating a cycle of document. That's why I was very happy with my 15 days. You got 15 days. You can't create more. You got 15 days. 15 days. Now, if you can do it in 15 minutes, do it in 15 minutes. Do it in 15 days. And I understand where you're coming from the state, but I guess I would feel more comfortable leaving as is until the state says, no, you can't do that. We're theorizing the state's going to come forward and say that we can't.
Well,
Leave it
there's an attorney general opinion which is cited in one of the whereas clauses, which really opines to the fact that 119 does not allow a municipality to arbitrarily select a number of days. I understand that 2 days were given for the city to produce, say, a number of records, below 15, I believe, is the volume. Well, I could just say that I would be breaking the law if I had the record in front of me and I would tell the requester, come back in 2 days.
No, and I get that. I get,
So-
and you're trying to come down on the side of the staff who may not follow through. I'm trying to come down on the side of the resident who's stuck if the staff doesn't come
I'm
through.
trying to come down on the side of the law,
Right.
which is what the law requires of the city. And if I have that record and it's readily available in less than 2 days, I have a legal obligation to give
Yeah,
it
but
to
the
that
requester will not know whether it's readily
Right.
available.
Right.
He or she is only going to go by the fact, by what,
It's really
okay, it was not available 2 days ago, so I'm giving it to you now 10 days thereafter. But how would I, as a requester, I mean, even I, as the mayor, I've requested records that I could have gotten within 30 minutes, and it took 2 or 3 days. And I'm the mayor here. So much worse for a citizen, for a layperson who has no knowledge of the city's business. So just to I mean, it's not, I mean, we're living in 2016. So just because we may have an archaic system, should not put the citizen or the media person who wants certain information to either write an article of a certain information that the public should know at a reasonable time. Whereas you may have staff who decides they're just going to hold on to it. My reasonable time is 7 days. So you're leaving it at the hand of not, at the end of the person who's handing it to decide what his or her reasonable time is. It shouldn't be.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the attorney, have you had conversations directly with the state of Florida Attorney General or whomever it is that would be the governing body to say, okay, here's what our council is afraid of?
Well,
Are
I
we
haven't
allowed?
had conversations, but, and I could, and what I have done is I've looked at several Attorney General opinions and the case law, the existing case law. The requester has the opportunity to file an immediate lawsuit in court, which would be expedited.
I know, but
it's-
now we're asking, we're not asking residents to take on additional costs and efforts and stuff like that. That doesn't seem like the logical way to do that. You know, if we don't give you what you've asked for, file an appeal, and if that doesn't work, file a lawsuit.
Well-
Like,
Yeah, no, but if the court does find against the city, the court not only can impose 48-hour production of records, impose that upon the city, and then also impose costs and fees to the requester.
right, but if the resident doesn't have the wherewithal to file said lawsuit, hire an attorney, and they'll never get to that
True.
point. Meanwhile, we're sitting on the records that they've requested, and you say, Scott, that's just such an outlandish. Without naming names and situations, I worked under an administration less than 3 years ago. That's purposefully how they handled stuff. They did not provide stuff, and when I was asking for stuff, I was threatened with arrest twice. So, yeah. So, I'm coming from a time where I want to trust who we've got in place right now. I do trust who we've got in place right now. But if you're gone in 6 months, I've now codified and made more difficult somebody's ability to get public records and information. And that's what I'm scared of. I don't want to create another barrier for administrators to hide behind.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm coming from a time when Scott was, because I'm still waiting for public records requests that I've made over the years that I've never received. And I get that some people are abusive with their public records, but people should be able to get them. And we did have a time when certain city managers absolutely refused to give those public records. And I don't think we have that situation whatsoever, or have had it recently, but going forward, these laws are in perpetuity until we change them again. And I agree with Councilman Galvin. I want people to be able to get their records. I don't want them to be abusive. I don't want them to abuse us where we have to turn around and put a staff on there and just spend hours and hours getting this. So I'm not sure about this ordinance. I don't know if we can like study it a little more.
Well, it's
but I
really,
wanna make
it's a
sure.
resolution, so it's really nothing, it's not
Well,
something that's
I'm
codified.
not sure if we're making it harder. I want to make sure that people do get public records, that we comply with the Public Records Act, and that nobody, I mean, again, going to a court, I've been there too with the city, and it's just, you can't, if you've got a problem with it, this is saying if you have a problem getting a public record, go to the manager. But if it's the manager who's not giving you the public records, this is doing no good. Going to a court of law also is cost prohibitive. Well, we've also had where we had an attorney that wouldn't give us the records. You know, we've been there. I've been there, and I've personally had to go to the court, and it's cost prohibitive when you can't go to the administration. So I want to make sure we're not tying the hands of our residents.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I also agree with what Councilman Galvin and Councilman Keys are saying. And I do agree with you in one sense, since they are different entity which directly answer to us. So I do kind of see that. But with that being said, how do we fix the problem? What's the remedy for what Councilman Galvin is saying? He does like the time frame, but the time frame, the intent of this resolution when I first presented was we don't want to get ourselves in trouble. And I wasn't thinking about the regular folks who make a request, and I'm totally against that, and it's taking whoever it is days or weeks to provide that. That's not my intent at all. Is someone who's constantly asking for record and thinking that within a day or two, because of the resolution, they must have it, and then in return, somebody who actually doing the work, but it actually taking longer for them to produce those documents, which put us then as the city in the terms to get a lawsuit. So that's where we got to come in the middle and see how do we come up with a remedy for, to satisfy Councilman Galvin, which I think all of us on the council would like, and also legally.
What we can offer is work together to look at the process that we have right now. What's broken? What's going on? Because, we may not be expeditiously enough in the eyes of some people. On the other hand, there's abuse. There's a lot of abuse. You've got people that are constantly, just for the heck of it, asking for the same old thing, and there's no basis of law to say, no, enough is enough. You only get 3 public records requests per year, so we can't do
What
that.
is the process of a request now?
You ask for the public record,
You
with
just
some
ask for it.
specificity, and that's it.
Hmm?
Yeah.
All right, let me chime in, because unfortunately.
What do you mean you ask? No, but how do you ask for it?
I'll tell you right now, Mayor, I can, because then, unfortunately, let's be clear here, the charter is clear. The charter gives the clerk my duties, and the only thing that I'm required to do is what you require by ordinance. And it says here in the charter, shall perform other duties as required by ordinance. But what I've done with the previous city manager, when Aline came in and tried to clear things up, we sat down, clerk and manager, and he said, look, let's work out a process that works. So this is the way it works. An individual would come in and ask for a public records request. The city clerk office becomes that public record hub. The city manager is in charge of the entire operation. But the clerk, we agreed that the clerk would be the hub. So you would come in, because we see the public all the time, and you would submit a public records request. Once an individual submits the public records request, a clerk employee would then forward that request over to the appropriate department. What we have created, we created a public record liaison in each department. Stephanie and the city manager sat down and they have their liaison. So Raphael is our liaison, Raphael Patron. He would forward that request, let's assume it's a public works request, he would send it to that liaison in that department. And that's where the clerk office stops. When he was asking what the process, what's supposed to happen, once that public liaison, that public records liaison in that department get that request, he or she needs to immediately get on that request and send whatever he or she has over to the clerk office. Once the clerk received that report, that request, then the clerk would then call the requester and say, come on over and pick up, it's ready. But this is the problem. For example, and I'm gonna acknowledge my staff during my report, we've seen roughly 500 passport applicants during the spring break week alone, right? So the clerk's office is always busy. Every other department is busy. When Raphael, Stephanie, Lois, or Gertie send over that request to that employee in that other department, they're too busy to get to it immediately. And that is the problem. So that's the holdup. So that's why I'm sure Stephanie and the new city manager is going to sit down. And again, the clerk, I have power over my employees. I have jurisdiction over my department, thanks to the charter. But I don't have any jurisdiction over other departments. So the only thing Stephanie can do is contact Mr. Springs or Duke Sawyer and say, hey, look, we're having problems getting a report. Let's say a public records request from, let's say, finance. Let's say Parks and Recs. So that's the holdup. We don't know what the other employees are doing, but there's a good process. It's just that the employees in those departments needs to hurry up and get those records back to us so that we can divulge them. So there's a good one.
Through the mayor, there's also a notification process that we're getting. I've been subject to it myself. Raphael sent it to me direct too. So we're getting reminders, hey, this is out here. And I've personally had situations where, since I've been here, where I get the request, and I will tell you I'm producing a document, I'm creating a document, but the request was made, so I created it. It took me 3 weeks to get it. In that 2-day scenario, I'm already done. Now, to avoid it, a couple times I was a little bit more conscientious, and in the system I put a note, received your request, requested it from outside party, should receive in 3 weeks. Clerk's office then, when that hits, they follow up again. Hey, where's it at? It's still out there.
And
So
that's
you get
additional work we're doing, by the way.
So we're getting ticklers. The administration is getting the ticklers. It's there. I would tell you, I've been in a lot of different public records request environments. Some ironclad, and hey, if you didn't ask for a blue pen,
You don't get the.
you're not getting it. Some more lenient, hey, well, I got a pen. You asked for a blue pen, but I'm gonna go ahead and, give you that record. The reasonableness I agree with, just because sometimes 2 days, 15 days, in that case, I would have been in violation. And y'all come to my office, hey, get out of here. But now again, I was conscientious, or my staff, hey, we got the request, we're acknowledging the request, we're still working on it. We're not trying to not give the record. It's just taking us more time to produce it. And the only other comment, I know I got a couple of questions about this, and it's my general rule, and I'm dealing with it with my own staff. I don't want to legislate away from bad behavior. If it's bad behavior, deal with individuals who are committing the bad behavior, but leave our structure in a normal place, like you're trying to put it. Because we need to know the violators, and we do have a system that can tell, hey, even if it'll tell Larry's request took 65 days to get done, and then maybe we should use that as a means of evaluation and discipline and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And Councilman Galvin, by the way, you went through the exact same thing today. An individual wanted a request. She said she didn't get a response. And what did Raphael do? He CC'd you on the email he sent to her months ago saying, hey, the record's available for inspection. Comes because he CC. I tell him not to because they always CC me these things. But you see, that's what happened. The system works. And so, but the reasonable period is, for example, if Larry can provide that information within 30 minutes, and that's a reasonable period by law, he needs to do it within 30 minutes. By saying 2 days or 15 days, you're giving Larry the impression that he can sit on it for 2 or 15 days. They're not supposed to sit on it at all. A person, you have that request there, a reasonable time is 2 minutes, get it done in 2 minutes. And if not, like Larry says, then the manager will discipline you.
I get it. I get the arbitrary. You're right. When I proposed this resolution a few months ago, the 15 days was absolutely arbitrary. But I also am coming from a point where I've seen the administration as a whole move in lockstep to keep not just citizens from getting information, but keep elected officials from getting information as a way to cover up their bad deeds.
Oh, God.
So when they were doing that, and I was starting with arrest twice, I'm trying to avoid that situation again for anybody who's just trying to simply get records that are in their favor. So I'm willing to roll with this tonight, and I'm just going to keep a real close eye on stuff. And if that bad storm starts to set in again, I'm just going to come like.
I agree with you,
Well,
Councilman Galvin.
Well, the thing is, the problem that I have with this resolution is that we are trying to make a law that would mostly benefit staff and us, as opposed to the general public. And as policymakers, that's not what we are elected for. We are living in a country where there is freedom of information, First Amendment. If there is information available to the public, it should be. And we're saying that, okay, we're going to enact this law, and for the public to just rely on our honesty. That's not right.
Can I add one more thing?
Because when we say reasonable time, the public does not know what is the reasonable time. We do know, but they do not.
So in a move, if you don't, through the mayor,
Go ahead.
in a move towards having that transparency, our transparency system is going live in the next couple days. So without any request, citizen will be able to log in, get checks that we've cut, financials, all of that stuff automatically. I submit that to you to say that we're trying to create a framework, internal control framework for the city that is transparent, and move toward what you're saying. Citizens shouldn't have to wait. If we can make it available, and the state has mandated a lot of this stuff, make it available. They don't need to ask for it.
Yeah.
The state, I can go look at every payment that we get. I don't have to call anybody. I go look, we were supposed to pay us Olitas water bill, I can go on their site and look up our account and look at all the checks that were cut to us, so we can reconcile. So I submit to you again, I clearly, I understand exactly what all of you are saying, but we are moving, the administration is moving in the direction to hard code or hardwire, if you will, the transparency that you seek. So, but I get it. I absolutely get it. And again, like I said, I've been in environments where the rule is to the letter of the law. If they ask for a white piece of paper with red ink, even though you know exactly what they really want, I don't have one. I've been in that environment, you know, but
Mayor, by the way, it's not easier on staff. This ordinance, this resolution, in fact, in my opinion, puts more pressure on staff. Because now, instead of sitting on a record, I have up to 15 days. Let me send these emails first. This resolution is saying Mr. Springs is going to discipline you if let's say Councilwoman Keys come into an office and ask for a record that should have been divulged minutes ago, but you're sitting on it for 15 days because the resolution say I have 15 days. It puts more pressure. It makes it easier for Raphael, Stephanie, and Gertie because now, like what's been happening before, because again, I don't have no authority to discipline anyone outside my department. We're not doing that yet. We're catching up. We're doing some event stuff, or we're doing this, we're doing that. Now, Mrs. Springs in this resolution is saying no more of that excuse. Get it done ASAP. And just for the record, and Councilman Desmarais would attest to that, the clerk's office have done exactly what he's saying. Contracts are online.
Yes.
Everything is transparent in the clerk's office. We put everything on there, and that's exactly what Mr. Springs and Mr. Duke is doing throughout the entire city. So just to let you know, Mayor, it's making it a little, in my opinion, it's making it a little more difficult on the staff and putting pressure on them to get to work.
Mr. Mayor, what would you suggest? Because I understand exactly what you're saying. I think we're all trying to come up in the middle and see how do we make it work. Because we don't want to get a lawsuit as a city, but at the same time, we want the information to be available to the public. Are we here?
Yeah,
Huh? Open to the public.
I did open.
It didn't close.
What time is this? Tab G?
So you're looking for a motion at this
Oh, are
time?
you, where? I
Mr. City
didn't.
Clerk?
Yeah, we're looking for a motion.
Okay, motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Desmarais to approve tab G as is. That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Let me record a no.
Item passes with a 4-1 vote. But I remember that, Mayor. 4-1 vote. Tab H, proposed ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, amending chapter 29 of the North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations by amending Article 5, Division 16, entitled Standards for Specific Uses, specifically at Section 5-1608 A1, entitled Room Additions to Residential Structures and Conversion of Garages or Carports to living space to remove the maximum 250 square feet floor area limitation for home additions permitted with flat roofs, as long as said additions are located in the rear of the property and are not visible from any public right-of-way, providing for repeal, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and for an effective date. That's tab H.
Thank you for the record, Mr. Chair. Tanya Wilson Sejour of the Community Planning and Development Department. I'll read the recommendation into the record. Just want to mention actually that this ordinance is sponsored by Councilman Galvin, and the recommendation is for a text amendment to the city's land development regulations, chapter 29, and it's amending the text of Article 5, Division 16, specifically at section 5-1608, to remove the maximum 250 square feet floor area limit for home additions permitted with flat roofs. Just to provide some background on this item, Article 5, Division 16 of the city's code does outline a criteria for room additions that are allowed for flat roofs, and it indicates that that must not exceed 250 square feet in size, must be located in the rear of the property, and it must not be visible from a public right-of-way. Currently, the way the code is written, all room additions must have the same roof line. So this text amendment is specifically pertaining to flat roofs that are requested as an addition to an existing structure. I do understand, based on the communications that Councilman Galvin has had with several constituents, many have perceived this as a burden or an encumbrance in terms of having additions or improvements made to the property. Staff did do research in looking back over the records and even looking at other municipalities, and certainly we couldn't find a consistent trend where the figure 250 was written in stone. We do believe it's arbitrary in nature, and that the setbacks can provide the necessary safeguards and restrictions needed whenever room additions are made. And again, this is specifically pertaining to flat roofs. It's not just all additions, but flat roofs that are made. The criteria of the code does have specific requirements and standards. So for all text amendments, it must be consistent with section 3-1004 that relates to health, safety, and welfare, as well as other standards. And based on staff's assessment, it's found that this request does meet the requirements of the code, and staff is recommending approval at this time. Also want to mention that it was reviewed by the Planning Commission. There was a vote of 6-0. The Planning Commission did support the request. However, there was a caveat. The Planning Commission recommended for corner lots, they're asking that the council consider that corner lots be exempted from this provision. And that's something for the council's consideration at this time, since it's only a recommendation to the ordinance. I do have also a correction to the ordinance. I don't know if our city attorney is going to expound on that, but there's a Scrivener's error. So on page 305 of your ordinance, it should keep the language that says if not visible from street frontage. Right now it has a line straightened through it, and that should be restored. And at this time, the only request is to remove the 250 square feet prohibition from the code the way it reads now. If the board has any questions, staff can entertain it at this time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the public? Public hearing is now open. Public hearing is closed.
Mr. Mayor. Tanya, through you to Tanya. Tanya, what was the Planning Commission's reason for wanting to exempt corner lots? And do you agree with their
Corner lots
recommendation?
essentially have two frontages, so they're saying it would put them at a disadvantage. So they're hoping that the board would consider giving them an exemption, so at least they're not subjected to that restriction of 250. I do know that Councilman Keys did express some concerns in terms of having them being exempted, and it's something that the board should at least consider before proceeding in that direction to giving them a way out from the standard regulation, the way it's written right now.
Then it wouldn't be fair to the other, lots. I mean, if they can do it, I mean, if there would be, if they would not be restricted.
And it's really a policy issue. It's really not right or wrong based on a planning standard. It's really a policy issue. What has the city considered historically in terms of flat roofs and their appearance and the aesthetics? So it's something that the Planning Commission asks that the board would consider and opine over before making its decision.
Okay, I don't have a heartfelt preference either way. I mean, I'm listed as the sponsor, but this is just legislation born out of constituents writing me and saying, hey, I want to make this addition. Why can't I do this? Where's the rule? And it turns out the rule was written in like 1955. So I said to staff, well, maybe it's time to revisit that rule, and voila, here we are.
I'll make a comment. The reason, okay, I believe that we're trying to make our neighborhoods look nicer. We want roof lines to match. We don't want roof lines in a flat, and the flat was not as nice. So I believe we changed the ordinances more recently to allow flat roofs with a 250, which doesn't make sense. I'm agreeing that anything that is not visible by the public in the right-of-way, if they want to increase their home, they didn't want to spend the money to join the hip roofs, that was fine. If you look at a map of the city, however, you will see that every single, avenue is comprised of only corner lots. So if you're doing that, you go up 10th Avenue, 12th Avenue, Northwest 5th Avenue, they're all, each street has a house on each corner on the avenues, so you might as well just make it for the whole city, which is not really what I want to do. So I would not be interested in exempting the corner. We might as well just do the whole city. 'Cause there must, I mean, I don't know if we've counted, but there must be hundreds of homes on the corner. The purpose of the ordinance is to make the houses look nice, the neighborhoods look nice, not to start having flat roofs all over the place. So that's my reason for not wanting to go ahead and take that recommendation.
All right. Mr. Vice Mayor, anything?
No, sir.
All right, we need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
And that's with the,
As is.
well, no, that's with the
As
amendment.
amended.
As
For
amended.
some reason, there
Oh,
was a
with the-
modification to, there was a change from March 22nd's ordinance to this one. So I will, make that
Just-
The
modification.
amended
It's amended.
Scrivener's error.
And by the way, the amended ordinance that you're approving tonight will take care of the constituents' concerns. So it does fully address the four corners of her application.
So I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab H as amended. That motion was then seconded by Vice Mayor Desume. This is an ordinance, so I would have to conduct a roll call vote. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Bianime? Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Desume?
Yes.
Mayor Joseph?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys?
Yes.
And I will record Councilman Bianime vote when he returns, but the items thus far has passed with a 4-0 vote.
All right.
Tab I.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Tab I, discussion regarding insourcing meter readers and utility bill and fill operation staff.
Through the mayor. We were contacted by our outsourced vendor, Data Management Associates, back in November, that they wish to terminate the contract. We currently outsource meter reading and certain field operations activities. They, I guess it was a bit of a financial burden. They were able to leverage their other contracts that they have with other surrounding cities to kind of create economies of scales. Those contracts have gone away, so they want to go ahead and end this. Not that this is the item, but I wanted to bring it for discussion. My recommendation is that we go ahead and in-source that operation right now. There are 7 employees, 6 meter readers / customer service folks, and 1 utility billing field coordinator. Currently, we have a contract with DMA for $297,510. Based on our assessment, we would spend and that's on an annual basis, $354,060, so an increase of $56,000. Now a portion of that $56,000, or approximately $20,000, is a one-time upgrade to equipment. So the real ongoing increase is about $36,000. The employees, we would open up the solicitations for the positions. The existing employees, if they qualify, would be provided those positions. If they did not qualify to the city standards, then those positions will be, open or available for others to participate and apply. What I want to do is just bring the discussion forth today. What we'll need to do is bring a budget amendment to add the 7 additional positions to our enterprise fund, so that we can move forward with that. So that's just a report I want to make. And we can, if at the next budget year you want to consider re-outsourcing it, we can. But for right now, for ease of transition, we thought this was the best plan. Thank you.
Mayor, with your permission, may I record Councilman Bianime's vote now on tab H?
Yes.
Thank you. So item tab H passes with a 5-0 vote.
When does the contract expire, you said?
It was expiring at the end of the fiscal year.
End of the fiscal year.
So
So they
want
went out
to end it
earlier?
right now. As soon as we can transition these, they're we're terminating.
And there is no penalty clause? in
We
the-
all have termination for convenience in the contract, so it's just a matter of the how we would figure out the transition with notice, and they gave us ample notice. So, and I should state that they've been working with us as well. Continue to pay the employees.
Are they losing money on the contract? Is that the reason
Yeah,
why they?
yeah.
Which could expedite the
Yeah.
termination and ease the termination
Okay.
clause.
Is he looking for direction from us?
Yeah, it's
Letting you know
it's
that
a
I will be bringing
discussion.
another item, just discussion item.
Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? Tab J?
Tab J, discussion regarding a 2016 North Miami Mardi Gras.
Mayor, council members, I guess back sometime last year, we were presented with a proposal to host a Mardi Gras event here in the city. We met with the promoter, Mr. Ringo Card. He submitted some of the documentation that was required of by the council. In the last week or so, we were able to sit down and meet with him, go through the numbers, and we wanted to present that back to you, so that we can have a discussion about potentially moving forward with the event. And Mr. Sawyer, if you could hit the first slide. And Mr. Cryer is here. Sorry. We were presented with a budget, and we kind of that was presented in these three areas. You have the areas of logistics, advertising, and entertainment. You see in the logistics area the breakdown: production, which would be the stage and sound, staff, generated security for putting on the event. The event would be a 15 to 20,000 participant event. These numbers are based on hosting the event in the area near FIU, just off of Biscayne. That's what these are based on. I know that, but those items are still open for discussion, as Mr. Card will put on the record. Entertainment for stage artists, floats, and parade entertainment, 75,000, and then a general advertising budget of 20,000, for a total direct event cost of 154,000. The city, with Mr. Card, we went through and met with our city staff. Public safety and other costs, city-related costs, for the police to do the event, the minor street closures, security, and so on, 32,000. Fire rescue on site, 5,000. Parks and Rec and Public Works staff combined would be 18,000, and barricades, cones, message boards, another 4,000, for a city cost of 59,000. Altogether, and we also added the potential of a rental fee from FIU. We're looking at a proposed total cost of 217,000. Ms. Carr also provide us a budget of potential revenue sources. This is outside of, large-scale sponsorship. So food vendors, $10,000. Non-food vendors, another 5,000. Alcoholic beverages, 21,000. VIP tent sales, 15,000, for a total potential revenue on the event of 51,000. The net budgetary impact would be $166,000. Again, all of this is kind of subject to finalizing the operational plan. So, as we see it, or as the administration sees it, this would need to be a designated event with the city designating resources to support it, at least, for this first time. With the hope or the goal of growing it to a size that it could become a self-funded signature event as you move forward. And I'll ask Mr. Carrot to put some comments on
Mr.
Before,
Kayal,
before that,
go ahead if you want.
Mr. Mayor, question. I don't see sponsors in the budget as we,
Yeah, at the time we had I guess I put that on the record. At the time we had the conversation, we were not sure about what large level sponsorships we could make. So we focused the revenue on the actual event related items that could generate the revenue. I would lean on Mr. Kyer and ourselves to figure out if we could potentially go out and seek those sponsorships, but as of right now, they have not been secured.
yeah, I understand that, but, those are projections, and I don't see any projection for, like, sponsors.
Yeah, we don't have, if you wanna.
No, not from him, we're talking about from our perspective and how we're gonna address that, like as far as,
I mean, we could
sponsors.
potentially, we can work with the promoter to see if we can generate that, but as of right now, our staff is not fit or tuned to go out, and get large-scale event-type sponsors as of right now. Again, we'll take the direction from the council on how you want us to proceed. I don't know if we would engage someone to help us with that in addition to
So
Mr. Kyer.
before we even go
Yeah.
forward, I have a question for Mr. Kayard, because I don't know what changed between the last time I spoke with you and between that and this afternoon, when I found out that it's going to be, because we, during our discussion, it was a clear understanding that this was going to be held along 125th Street to end at Cagney, not Cagney,
Griffin.
at Griffin Park. To have it in just that remote area at FIU, which is, so it would not be, that would be just a festival.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Ringo Kayard, 12801 West Dixie in North Miami. As I expressed many times, this event should be a city event in order to bring not only unity, but to bring the good of the city and the citizens. Definitely, the place for this event to be held is on 125th Street going to the park. So we could have the impact. We could have also the media showcasing the good of the North Miami. I definitely believe this is the right place to do it. And that would also showcase the city hall, the museum, and the downtown that we're trying to build.
That we're trying to promote. So where did the
Exactly.
FIU come from? I
No,
mean,
the FIU was a concept within, but that was wiped out. So I want to put on record, we're not going to do it at FIU. Because doing it at FIU will be giving all the credit and the benefit to FIU University, which they already have. We could partner with them, but the place to have the event has to be on 125th Street,
which is the downtown we are trying
which
to
is the
promote.
downtown, exactly. So we clear on that.
but you, Mr. Mayor, you just said something, you said from the plaza to Griffin.
No,
Why not from Griffin to the plaza?
Which plaza? No, I meant from like 10th Avenue up to Griffin
No,
Park.
instead, what I'm thinking, no, he said like from 10th Avenue to Griffin.
Yeah, for the,
But why don't we use the same situation with the same, how you call that? The same route with Thanksgiving from Griffin
Yeah.
to the big plaza, like
which plaza?
Mocha Plaza. It seems like you said from 10 to Griffin
Oh, okay.
instead of from Griffin to here.
Well, Griffin Park can hold more people than the plaza, right? No?
If you take all the street here, all the street and the whole, and
That would be
plaza,
fine too.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, that
I
would be
think
fine
it's
too.
More people than the
Yeah.
plaza.
Oh yeah, Councilman Bien-Aimé,
Especially
it's the
with
same.
those loud sound, you know, you have
That would be fine.
residential area over there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
fine.
agree with that.
And now, when you change the location,
That way, it will be almost all District 3.
no, District 3 and 2,
No, 3.
just start in 3 and
It will
finish
be
in
more
District 2. Or
right?
whatever. whatever it is, Mr. Mayor, I think, and every month or every 2-3 months, we spend money on events, and none of them or none of those events and really show the city of North Miami. It's like local event. I think the Mardi Gras can be a signature event where you're gonna bring between 15 and 20,000 to the city of North Miami. I don't know and how we're gonna squeeze the budget to make that happen, but I think a Mardi Gras festival in the city of North Miami with float with like a Caribbean event, like not just Haitian event. We're talking about bringing everybody, the Spanish community, the Caribbean community, the Haitian community, and the Jew community. I don't know if they do carnival, but when everybody has a big event, and like we have in New York, like we have in Miami Gardens, like we have in Coconut Grove and everywhere. And as far as the event, I'm for it. I'm in favor of it. And now it's how we got to make it happen with the money that we have. I remember 2 years ago we were trying to do the same thing, but that did not happen. And I think everybody understands why we didn't have a carnival in the city of North Miami. And we all know that this company, Mr. Kaya and his group, have been doing that for quite some time. 2 years ago, it was because of the council some people on the council didn't want to have the event, and that's why we did not have it. And between staff and the police department, and we had that back and forth, and we did not have the event. And I expect this time, if we granted the event to your organization, and if the council is okay with it, then actually we can have a real event, a real signature event in the city of North Miami. Now, Mr. City Manager, my question, and as far as budget and projection, you have an idea of how we're gonna do it? Because for the first year, we understand, and the city not gonna make a lot of money out of it. But if you're looking at Miami Gardens, the Grove, you will see how much money they're making now, and from that event. And I understand, like years ago, those cities were spending money, and now they're making a profit out of that. That's mean it's like a sacrifice that if we want to move forward with it, and see what can be done. But the question that I have, I remember 2 years ago, you signed a contract with the city.
Yes.
For about $125,000.
Correct.
The city already pay you $92,000.
That's correct.
Out of that money.
Yes.
And the perception in the street right now is like you steal $92,000 from the city. Now you back again. And what can you tell the residents about that aspect?
Councilman Bien-Aimé, I'm so glad that you bring that, because I'm tired of hearing people not giving the facts.
It's not like they're tired, but
No,
that's
me.
not
I mean, I don't like that, And if anything was on wrong, as you know, especially as a black man, I would have been in jail already. So, what took place? A festival take a long time to plan it, and we had a mayor at that time. When she got on board, she had instructed the police department, and I'm naming the former chief, Elias, who was willing to come on the podium and testify that he was asked to derail the project. We had met many times with Chief Burgess now, and also with Commander Eugene and the whole police department. Every time we had a route, we were pushed back to another one.
No, but we understand
In the
that.
meantime, we had to give deposits to the different groups.
No, we understand that part, why we did not have the Mardi Gras. I'm talking about how you want to address that. the money.
What I want to do this time is to go forward and make it happen. Make sure that the city is not shortchanged, and we produce an event which we had hoped to do 2 years ago without the political infighting who took place. And we could do it two ways. We could keep going it with the contract that we had, revive it, or we could start it from scratch. So it's, I think the easiest way would have been to start with the contract that we have and make it happen.
Do you want to say with or without money given to you, you ready to work with the city and have it and have the Mardi Gras done?
We could do it in a way that what we already collected is toward what we're going to be doing. Because technically, and I want to make that clear, in the contract that we have, you see in the paragraph, on the 3rd page.
We're not
I know, Mr. Bieneme.
No, let's not discuss that, because you need to understand $92,000 is a lot of money.
Yes.
And nothing have been done. When I say nothing have been done, it's not like you, but for some reason we did not have the carnival.
You're right.
Okay? Now it seems like we have $92,000 on the street, and you're about to do the carnival again. How we gonna continue with the contract? How we gonna
We
wanna
could have the same term that we have and make it happen, because usually the carnival, it's a one-day event, but it takes a long time to prepare it. Remember, we had to pay rent, we had staff, and we also had deposit. That's what that 92,000 was used for, but that was 2 years ago. But we are willing to take a loss this time and go forward with that.
What do you mean?
Because we're not going to have that 92,000. The rent is already wasted. The deposit are wasted. All that is wasted. So we could continue on the contract that we have and make it happen, and not having that money.
And pay you at the end after the event?
No, there is no pay. He's not asking for any.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. I have no more question. I don't know if
So what about the disbursements? How is it going to be made? Is it as we go, the city is going to go? Is it as we, I don't know, how do we plan to do the disbursement?
Mr. Mayor, we don't want to see any money. We don't want to touch any money. We want that to be understood from the beginning.
Okay.
that's when it's gonna be the city.
Who could give whatever money to one of the person in charge or
Okay, you're
vendors?
gonna work with the
Yes,
city, but as
exactly.
far as you, it's not like we're gonna give you a check for $200,000
no.
and you're gonna spend the
Exactly,
money.
no, not at all.
Okay, now who are going to contract with the either the vendors or the artists, the entertainers?
We're going to have a representative to do so.
The contract will be between you and the vendors.
Yes, so like that, the city would not be held responsible, but the funds will come directly from you to the person, to the vendors.
Mr. Manager, it seems like, yeah.
I was just asking the attorney a legal question on the logistics of that, so we'd have to probably.
Yeah,
talk
for
about
that,
it, yeah.
you get it
For
the
that,
the
you will
legal
you'll
way
work it out with
of
the
doing
attorney.
it
Yeah.
because we don't.
Okay.
That's
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
sorry.
a discussion item.
No, on the, if we were asked by, council people, or I was asked by council people about the potential of a street festival. So I did at least ask what was the cost associated with like putting on the Thanksgiving parade, which is the closest thing to the event.
and what did you spend on the
It was
Thanksgiving parade?
51,000.
No, I'm talking about total, the whole budget.
For the Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I'm not sure about.
How much
I
you
got the
spend?
police number, but. Terry, yeah, he's here.
No, that's the police. Huh?
No, but the police number that you have is not the same, and I did discuss that with the chief. It includes, time and a half because Thanksgiving Day happens to be a holiday. But when you take out that factor, it is reduced down to about $30,000.
No, what we're asking, Mr. Mayor, is the total for the event.
No,
not
he,
just
oh,
the
he say
police.
he doesn't know.
Right, so.
Every year we have an event, we don't know how much money we spend.
Through the city manager, the budgeted page for the Parks and Recreation Department is approximately $51,000. That 51 covers the park staff, only the park staff. Their associated overtime costs and holiday pay associated with the Thanksgiving Day Parade. The police budget is separate from that, so
So the
it would be
budget-
estimated probably a little over $100,000 a year we spend on the parade every year.
Okay, that's when every year we spend between $100 and $105,000 for the Thanksgiving parade. Okay, okay. How much do we spend on 4th of July?
4th of July is significantly less than that. I know alone we spent about $25,000 on the fireworks, and I would say the overtime costs, because it is in a contained area at FIU, the costs are a lot less. So the police costs, I think, are probably around the mark of maybe like $20,000. So you're talking about maybe a $50,000-$60,000 event.
But I think there's something that, Mr. Mayor, we're gonna need to do if we decide, okay, we wanna do the signature event in the city of North Miami, where we're gonna spend that much money. I think we have to cut all those events where we spending $10,000-$20,000 and we bring up a few hundred people. That's when if we're gonna do something that's gonna bring 15,000-20,000 people, we need to concentrate on that, and all those events, 10, 15 here, 20 here, we need to shut down those and see if we can have 1, 2, 3 events like we have the Taste of North Miami, we have the Taste of Haiti. Those are events that bring thousands of people, and those are good events in the city. But all those things that gonna bring 100 people here, 50 people here, and we're spending thousand, I think we need to cut on that, and because we're bringing something substantial to the community, I think.
These are very good points that certainly can be considered, but as at a later